Okay, welcome. It's day 5 of the update. Scott Picken, founder and CEO of Migrate and founder and chairman of IPS. And day 5 of the lessons from NECA. I'm actually standing here in the temple. This was created with 12 of the world's best leaders: Jimmy Carter, Nelson Mandela, Desmond Tutu, Kofi Annan. And there's actually 12 pillars around this room which represents each one of those great men. And they met here in, I think, 2007 to start off with, either 2007 or 2009, to start creating this movement for change where they go around the world and they deal with other leaders to ultimately impact. And, you know, they use their incredible leadership ability to change situations and to change the world for good. And as you can see, it's right up at the top of the mountain here. And you can see the beautiful views. I'll just walk around here. You can literally see 360 degrees all the way around. So I thought today might be a little bit longer because we had a really good business session. You can see behind me there the spectacular views all the way around. But we had a really good business session yesterday, and there were quite a few lessons, and so I wanted to just share with you some of them. We had Kenny, who is the general manager here on NECA that works with Richard, come along. And so let me just give you some of the thoughts that my notes have got here. He says Richard never thinks it's too difficult. He likes to listen to everyone. He's very engaged. He makes everyone else do what he wants them to do. Richard doesn't own things which are not a business. So he pretty much has a philosophy. He can have anything he wants in life, but it has to be a business. And that's how he justifies it. They said on the island, the busier they get, the more time they take out to do communications and the more that they need to be organized. He says that when you're in business, Richard's always focusing on the bravery side. And it's like walking down a flight of steps. You never really know how to get all the way down. But if you take one step, the next one becomes more obvious. He lives on the island for about 8 months a year. And a question that I absolutely love is that he asked was, what is stopping you from being your absolute best self? Just think about that for a little bit. Your absolute best self. What is stopping you? And ultimately, there's only one thing. We stop ourselves. So then what else have we got here? One of the ones from one of the guys that was here that I really liked was when you delegate, you need to be more communicative about the outcome. Otherwise, it's not delegation, it's abdication. You need to focus on a leader-leader model, which is where you build up leaders all the way through the organization. And what else have we got here? The culture has to support the revenue mechanism. So I think that's really interesting. You can't just put a revenue structure in place unless you've got the right culture. You need to invest your time in people, which is pretty obvious. But for most people that are trying to do everything themselves, a lesson I loved yesterday was that if you can do something at 100%, but you're too busy and you can't do everything, and you can get someone else that can do the same task you could do at 100%, at 80%, and they can get someone below them that can do the remaining 20%, that 100% that you would have done has now been taken up by the other two people with their 80 and 20, which equals 100%. So it's going to do things differently but get the same result. And that's really all about scale and how people scale. Roger Hamilton shared that every week they ask for their top 3 numbers, and they also ask for their top 3 stories so that they stay human and people get it. And the one that I absolutely loved was that Richard shared with us what his 3 criteria were for business. And here goes, I'm sure a lot of you would like to know this. Well, the top 3 criteria. Firstly, it's got to have the potential to be $1 billion business, which means that there needs to be 100 million, potential for 100 million clients or more. It's got to be able to access and leverage off the Virgin brand, and it's got to have a world-class team in place already. So they don't want to build teams. And ultimately, if those 3 things are in place, then that is the entire objective, which is what they look for. It's those 3 things that make up the core fundamental methodology and scientific formula before they get involved in any business. So that's all my lessons from day 5. It really is quite astounding to be sitting in this great room. I'm off to go water skiing, and I then will be back in here this morning at 9:30 to have another business session with Richard and the rest of the team, and I look forward to bringing you those lessons. As you can see, we're having a lot of fun here. It's not just the lessons. Last night, I officially became the NECA Island table diving champion, which is where you run and dive onto a table that has lots of slippery water and soap, and you go screeching across a table that's about 10 meters long and go flying off the other side. And it's a record that gets timed. It is officially banned on Necker Island, but nothing really seems to be banned. There are no rules here. So it's awesome. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this one. Cheers.